Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Langley Lab. My name is Hayel, like Hi L. And if you're new here, I am an HRIS consultant, just a fancy way to say I specialize in technology and specifically UKG. And I founded Langley Consulting, where our team works with clients of UKG customers and we optimize their system. We help them in that post implementation phase where they just need an extra set of hands. And so we are there to assist them with all those things. This video today, though, is dedicated for all of you that are just Googling different FAQs, frequently asked questions out there in the universe and Google and whatnot. So it is very exciting for us to bring this video on our 1 year anniversary of rolling out this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It definitely helps us out and keeps us and the ideas going. If you have any comments throughout the video, feel free to comment down below and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as we're able to. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, everybody, take a stroll with me down these FAQs. Again, brought to you by Langley Consulting. And these is a quick snapshot of the questions we'll be covering today. And at a very high level, some of these things, I don't know precise answers because situations vary from client to client. So bear with me as I go through them. So the first one, the most frequently asked question is, what is UKG Pro? And this is a very simplistic answer here on the screen, basically making it a human capital management system. In short, layman's terms, it can manage payroll, it can manage time and attendance, it can manage performance reviews. UKG even has People Assist or Document Manager, which one is a case management tool, the other one's a way to electronically file records and have retention policies associated with them. I mean, there's a slew of products that UKG Pro offers, including Bright AI, which is their newest, latest and greatest that they integrate through the platform, and they're working to slowly integrate it throughout the other modules. But it's the AI assistants. Generative AI is incorporated and so many other things. I can't speak highly enough about UKG and what I think about them because they've been my longest standing technology that I've worked with over the last 9 years. And they just have a special place in my heart. Just as a company, I got to know them from the Ultimate Software legacy side. And if you have any questions, there are definitely some videos where I go into more depth about what UKG Pro offers and some side-by-side comparisons across some of the bigger offerings that they have. So if you're interested in that video, definitely check it out. I'll have it linked at the end of this video. And another commonly asked question is, how much does UKG cost? Now, I know budgeting is a top priority for businesses. It is not for the faint of heart. It is when you're choosing an HCM, you're choosing to invest in your population. And the price per employee may seem big, but think about it. It ranges, right? This is just a general estimate of 27 to 37 per employee. It could be less, it could be more. It totally depends on your situation. I've seen clients that have a tiered approach where they have multiple years they sign up for and the pricing changes from year to year, or if populations grow, your employee populations offer sometimes lower rates. So a ton of different methods I've seen implemented. And the more modules you buy, the better deal you get. So love that for us. And just sharing a couple of tidbits there. I am not a salesperson by any means. I am simply an HRIS consultant. So most of this stuff I deal with on a client per client basis with account managers, have great relationships with the account managers. They are a godsend. A lot of them are super wonderful to work with. And I do have contacts if you are interested. Absolutely happy to refer. What companies use UKG Pro? Well, according to their website, they have a lot of big named companies. This is just a couple to mention. And I will say that ever since the Kronos merger, which again, I have another video you can look at that for, they definitely expanded their footprint across the world, because Kronos, now known as the WFM side of the house, or UKG Ready legacy side, or Dimensions, if that sounds familiar, that's where it came from. Over 11,000 companies use UKG Pro, And in a most recent, I think it was a technology rating, UKG Pro rated like the highest, which I thought was incredible. It just kind of goes to show some of their user friendliness and the adaptability of their company. So definitely growing with their customer base, which is awesome. And then what are some of the features? And I definitely have a more extensive feature video, as I've mentioned throughout this presentation, but this is a really high level. So they do HR management, payroll, tax management. So they kind of take that burden off of your team a little bit. And benefits administration, it can go pretty in depth there. And then analytics and reporting, just to mention a few. Definitely explore the UKG Universe video. That'll give you a much more extensive view of what they offer and some of the main features. Okay, so how does UKG Pro Payroll work? Now, what I love about UKG Pro is they have some of the most user-friendly payroll I've ever seen. It speaks a lot to the development that went on there, and that's one of the things that made the Kronos and UKG merger work so well, is that they brought that expertise and that user-friendliness over to their customer base. But it's very simple. It collects data automatically that flows from employee information or time, depending on what modules you have. I think most of the timesheets or time exports, you have to export time from the time system and then import it into payroll typically. And then there's a calculate pay step. You can configure this any way you want, by the way, and you can add reports as steps, and it's just very customizable. And then you can review and approve adjustments if needed. You can even process additional off-cycle paychecks, file taxes, make adjustments. So lots of capabilities, and they're constantly growing in that area, which is awesome. And one of the most recent features with AI, it's available right now to all the customers, where they do comparison of payrolls from like last payroll to this payroll and some of the major differences. And maybe so to help your team really notice, like, okay, why are those differences present and should we be doing anything about them? So very, very cool insights. Love to see the growth. How do employees log into UKG? Now, if you came here just for this page, I'm so sorry, I cannot help you, because you have to ask your company for their specific URL. Every UKG customer has a specific URL they share with new hires. And if you are being sent that manually and you're here, drop my name and I can make sure that process is automated for them so that you are not getting credentials manually. Contact me. My contact info is at the end. We can help optimize that. We helped one client save over 150 hours a year because they were manually sending it and they didn't know about a capability to make it automatic for their new hires to receive that information. You do have to complete a multi-factor authentication if it's configured for your environment. Definitely recommend configuring it, at least for those higher level roles if you don't have it. And then you could sign in. If your employer uses SSO, this is probably even simpler than that. You can use My Apps, Okta, Azure, tons of different sign-on options. And if you are a terminated employee, this is probably super helpful, but with the authentication upgrade that's coming to UKG, you'll be able to use your alternate email to log on. I don't know when exactly, like they have a roadmap for this year to do that for all their clients. So I'm working through that with a couple right now. So in 2026, April of 2026, we're still working through that. I have a couple clients that are due in May. So hopefully if you're seeing this video a little bit later in the year, you are able to use an alternate email to log in if you have the URL. And then some other options, if you have the UKG Pro app, there's typically a company code that is associated with the company. Sometimes it's the company name. Sometimes it's a value of the company. So can vary from company to company, but definitely reach out to them, or SSO, like I mentioned before. All right, does UKG have a mobile app? Yes, they do. And they have the Apple Store one and the Google Play one, so it's available on both operating systems. And you can do quite a bit in the app. There's still definitely some growth there for UKG, I will say. You can request time off, you can view schedules, and with the AI feature, you can now have a conversation to like swap shifts or to find opportunities to make more money. It's very exciting, the enhancements they're making there to make it a lot more accessible to employees. So highly recommend downloading that and getting that company code to log in. All right, now this is one of the other questions I was asked. What's the difference between Ready and Pro? And this is a really high level map. So UKG Ready is for more small to mid-sized companies, and UKG Pro's mid-sized to large enterprises. So the core, obviously UKG Ready does have a lot of the basic HCM features that you would typically see. They have really good time tracking and time and attendance tools, so that's also a great buy, and it's very user-friendly. Again, I think this is one of the products that was highlighted as being really great for the frontline administrator and employees. And then it just kind of keeps going through some of the customization capabilities, analytics. In short, UKG Ready is a little bit more basic. However, UKG Ready can be split up. So I don't want to just isolate it as an HCM. It can be a timekeeping system. It could be the timekeeping plus HR side. So think about it as a bucket or high tier, and then there's separate modules you can purchase within that product umbrella. So definitely don't want to isolate that, but it does have a lot of cool tools there. And it tends to be also more affordable, which is very advantageous as you're looking at potential UKG modules. And UKG Pro versus Workday. Now, I will say I am not an expert in Workday by any means. So I did link some of the sources we used to put this slide together down at the bottom there. If you're curious, at a high level though, the payroll, like I mentioned, very easy to use. Some of the best in class. Time and attendance is really strong versus Workday, although they do a lot of the similar actions. It's just Kronos just has it really, really locked in. And some of the differentiators are the analytics and the global HR, which Workday is very largely known for. And then implementation is a lot longer and heavier and more complex, and it is better for large to global enterprises with Workday. So if you're looking for Workday, and they tend to come with a heftier price tag based on my experience. So certainly a tiered approach here. If you're thinking about it, Ready might be your entry level gateway module into UKG Universe, and then you elevate to Pro or maybe do a combo of some sort there. And then if you go global, maybe Workday there. Although UKG Pro is doing a lot to appeal to the global workforce, so who knows? Maybe in the future, they'll appeal to that audience a lot more convincingly. How does UKG Pro manage time and attendance? Now, there's a lot you can do it through the mobile, through the web, through time clocks, to actual iPads. There's so many different ways to do it. And as I mentioned previously, there's also an AI feature add-on where you can ask to swap shifts or to request time off. So it makes it really conversational and easy and natural for the employee to do certain actions versus step-by-step guide of click here, click there. So really like that. And there's so many different options. So definitely contact somebody if you have any more questions. But this is high-level tidbit from an HRIS consultant. And that's it. Very short and sweet. We hope that you found this presentation helpful. And again, if you're interested in working together, that's my email. I'm so happy you got through this. And if you're interested in seeing different kinds of content, feel free to comment down below. We read every comment. As long as we don't blow up and it becomes too much, I'll probably pop it in the AI to recap it for me. But we are looking at it all. So thank you so much for your support. If you are here, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. Keeps us going. All right. See you later. Bye. Make sure to check out our other videos.